And for the Voice for Real Estate, a presentation of CWTAR, the Central West Tennessee Association of Realtors. That sounded like Cleve Marsh there for a minute, didn't it?
Well, actually, it did, Jimmy. I was just getting ready to say, what happened? Did you forget?
I forgot.
I was gone 1 week. What? And you forgot where I was from?
I closed one eye. I couldn't read it. I don't know what happened there. Brent Ward is back with us, as he is every Monday, except last Monday you were out on business.
I was out on business. I had to go do a little training that I have to do once a year, and it was actually really good. I was impressed with my training that I did.
Good deal. Good to see your memory is still good then.
My memory is still good, even though I took tons of notes, and I got they laugh at me at work because if there was a good idea that came up, I would write it down on my paper, and I'd draw a little light bulb next to it, like that whole little idea thing. Of course, I draw a lot, so they're kind of used to that part of it, but yeah, came back with a lot of good stuff. Good stuff for the association. So
good deal.
Yeah, good ready deal. You just have to implement it, and somebody has to make sure that it gets followed through. So that typically will be me.
That's easy. That's the easy part.
Thinking it up's the easy part. Making sure that it works is the hard part.
Absolutely. Well, things still seem to be jumping in real estate here locally. There's several homes that have come up for sale in my neighborhood, and next thing I know, they're no longer for sale. So.
Yeah, I think I mentioned a few weeks ago, my wife called me one day and said, "Hey, take a look at this house," and I didn't have time. I was busy. She found it online, and then when I got home that night, we were sitting at the dinner table, and she said, "Did you ever look at that house?" I said, "No, I didn't." And when she pulled it up again, it was already pending. So that was new on the market that day, and then pending that night.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. Crazy. If they're marketed well, it doesn't take long for them to take off that way. So
that's very true. What was your topic? Your educational, just general changes in what's going on in real estate nationally and locally?
Pretty much. National Association of Realtors instituted something about 6 years ago that they call core standards that all associations, including state associations, have to adhere to. And basically what it was to try to get all the associations pretty much on the same playing field as far as what took place within their offices. Okay,
right.
So they were all kind of run the same and had the same type of structure. And because one thing I've learned is AEs, which is my position that NAR knows us as, they move around a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon to see, let's say, somebody that works at the Memphis Area Association of Realtors that maybe is not the AE but pick up an AE job, let's say Chattanooga or Knoxville, which those are two true examples of what took place. So somebody that worked at MAR at one point in time actually ended up being the AE in Chattanooga, and one of them actually ended up being AE in Knoxville. Right. So anyways, with that, once a year they have to offer AE training from the state level, and that's what it was. There was 21 of us there.
Wow.
From the state, all across the state that came for that. So
Good deal.
It was nice.
Good deal.
Enjoyed it.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah.
As we always do, we could sit and do talking heads, the two of us.
We can.
For as long as anybody would want us to. But we like to have someone to brighten up the stage a little bit from time to time.
We do.
And to brighten up our knowledge from time to time. We want to remind everybody that we are on Facebook right now, Facebook Live.
That's right.
That's on the CWTAR Facebook site. Just go there, click on Facebook Live, and you will see the four of us here. Paul Schulze, our engineer from Worthy Road Studio, is back behind the curtain back there. Paul, can you reach? There you go. There's the
hand. Got a hand on camera. That's right.
Now we got the hand in place, and we're ready to go.
We're ready to roll. So yes, I have an elusive guest with me this morning, and I told her I was going to make mention of that this morning because I've mentioned her name like all the time on the radio show, and I know you do.
Yep.
But I have with us this morning Miss Angie Hooten Hughes with Allstate Insurance, and so we are so happy to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here. It's good to see you guys.
Yes, thank you. So Angie is a very, very busy person because she has good clients and tons of clients, and it's insurance, and there's always stuff going on all the time, and it's okay. I understand I'm at the back of the pack. I get it. It's all right. But that's all right. We have her here this morning. But, Angie, you brought somebody with you this morning for, I guess you say, moral support, I guess. So who do we have with us this morning?
This is Leslie Mays. She's my agency manager for both my agencies, and she pretty much runs the show for me.
All right, yes. So we've tried to get Leslie on the show once, and she turned me down like flat. Like there wasn't even a second thought about it. She's like, "No, I'm good." And that's when the show was at our association office a month or so ago. But yeah, she would not come on the air. So I've tried really hard. So Angie, tell us a little bit. So you're with Allstate, and yes, you do homeowners insurance, but I'm sure you do a lot of other stuff. So kind of give us a little bit of your background, what's been going on.
Sure. I've been in the insurance business for 32 years. I have learned everything since I was about 16, 17 years old. My dad was an Allstate agent. He was a 35-year agent, and he retired in 2006, and I took over the show for him after that. But I've worked in many facets of the insurance business. The only thing that I haven't done is worked in the claims department, but running an insurance agency and what all that involves is what I certainly know and have done for a very long time.
Very long time. That's funny. Your dad actually retired about a year before my dad retired.
Oh,
He
really?
He retired in 2007 from real estate.
Okay.
Surprise. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So now you've got at least 2 locations that I'm aware of.
I do. We have a location in Memphis, Tennessee, which is actually in Bartlett, and then we have this location in Jackson, Tennessee.
Okay.
And my story coming into Jackson is simple, but it seems, funny that how life goes. But my husband was in the car business, owned a car dealership here for several years, was traveling to and from Jackson, and we live in Fayette County, which is kind of in the middle, right?
Right, yes. Uh-huh.
And the agency that we took over here in Jackson was a longtime friend of my dad's.
Okay.
And he wanted to make sure this kind of stayed in the family way because he knows that I know that what the importance is of our clients and how they're family to us.
Right.
So after my husband decided to sell his dealership, and he came on board, took over this agency. We took over this agency for Mr. Yates. I don't know if you know who Howard Yates is.
Name sounds familiar.
but-
Jimmy, there you go.
Sure
there we
do.
go. Jimmy got it.
From the area for forever. And that's kind of how we ended up in Jackson. Stayed here, loved it, and have really enjoyed being here.
Well, good. We're always happy to have you here, and we always love it when business comes into town. That's kind of what keeps us plugging right along. Now,
Sure.
you typically work out of the Memphis location, but you're back and forth. I bet.
Travel back and forth. I do. Leslie takes care of everything for me here in Jackson.
I was just getting ready to say, I think we could find Leslie here, though. I'm pretty
Yes,
sure
sir.
anytime. Okay, all right. Well, that's what I thought. So, well, once again, happy to have both of you on the show here today, and they are supporting each other since Leslie wouldn't come on by herself, and Angie made her come up onto the stage, and they definitely brightened up me and Jimmy.
Yeah,
I
for
tried
sure.
with the purple
For sure.
coats.
You're looking good.
But it's a light purple coat, but they got the blue and the red going on, so they really brightened up the camera here.
Oh, yeah,
So,
she's got the Allstate blue on.
Oh, look at that. There you go. Nothing like sporting the team colors, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. All right. Well, I've been trying to get Angie on the show. We got her here today, and we have talked, Jimmy and I have talked to like every aspect of the real estate transaction, from the start to the finish, to the finding you the perfect realtor, to getting your house on the market, to getting that first offer in, to the home inspection, to the appraiser, all the way up to you get to the closing attorney's office and past that point. But there's one really super important piece in there that we mention every time we talk about all this. We've just not had anybody on the show that can elaborate a little bit more about it, and that's the insurance part of it, right?
Gotcha.
So insurance, even though for us home buyers and sellers that are experts at it, so to speak, and I do that in air quotes, but we understand, insurance. We got it. We know that's a part of it. But new home buyers that come into that is like the last thing on their mind, and that just comes from you've been doing yours for over 30 years. I've been doing mine for over 20 years, and with that comes a lot of just experience and situations that happens, and you hear everybody else's stories too. But when it comes to new home buyers, that's like the last thing they're thinking about is homeowners insurance. They probably know it's a part of it, but they don't think about getting it until the last piece. But a lot of people don't realize is it's not like if you want to, it's a have to. You have to have it. And so tell us a little bit about the insurance when it comes to homeowners insurance.
Well, let's talk about what you're buying. You're buying the largest asset you've ever owned. So you want to make sure that asset is insured properly. So in the event that something happens, you've got coverage for that. On top of that, as far as the mortgage company, y'all require the insurance, right? So as an insurance agent, our job is to come in here and sit down and ask a lot of questions. And nobody really expects us to ask so many questions, but we do, because we have to know what exactly it is that we're insuring. And again, as the largest investment that they own, it's our job to make sure that we insure it properly.
Correct. And for those of you that are trying to put those two pieces together in your mind about the mortgage company and be like, well, what do they care? I mean, you know, that's homeowners insurance, right? You know, for the property, but they want to make sure that you've got something there in case something does happen to that property, that you've got some coverage there to rebuild that house back or get it repaired or whatever the case may be. Is that pretty much how those two hook together, right?
Yes. If that house burns down to the ground or if you have a tornado take it out, I'm the person you're calling. So, you know, we want to make sure that we not only is that the insured the person they're calling, so is the bank.
That's right. Yeah, so they want to make sure their asset is protected as well, right?
Absolutely.
That's right. They're loaning the money to purchase this property, which hopefully one of these days you will own outright as a homeowner. But they want to make sure you're protected as long as you got that mortgage with their financial institute out there. Absolutely. All right. So a question that I get a lot, and this is going to lead into a different question, but I know you come out and look at the properties before you write that policy. At least I would assume that you would. So what would be your reason behind coming out?
Oh, well, your inspection is really important because we need to know exactly what it is that we're insuring. We have a lot of questions about that every single day because even after you get a homeowner's policy, we come back and we continue to inspect the property to make sure you're still insured for what it is that we're writing down on that piece of paper. Remember, insurance is a contract, and your contract is what your property is insured for and all the things on it. So if you've got a barn or a shed or a fence or a pool or any of those additional items that you may not think about on the front end, because you know when you're talking about insurance, you're thinking about insuring that property for how much you're paying for it. Well, it isn't just about how much you're paying for it. What are we insuring exactly? You know, so we have to ask those questions, and then in the event that there's something that you didn't think about or if there's something that we need to know about that property, your inspection is the most important piece. On top of that, your square footage. You know, we want to make sure that your home is, we've got the right amount of square footage, 1 story, 2 story, whether or not you have that additional detached garage that you didn't think about because you just think, oh yeah, I got a garage. It says that on the county assessor's page, I've got a garage, but what does that really look like? Mm-hmm. So in the event that there's a claim and something happens, we know how to pay you.
Yeah,
we know how to indemnify you, basically.
That makes sense. So something I just thought about while you were sitting here talking about that, and I guess it's probably something that I'm sure veteran home buyers probably think about, but there's probably a few things that probably slip through the cracks on that. So naturally, if I was going to add a swimming pool to my property that I currently have right now, then I would need to make sure I contacted my insurance carrier and say, oh, by the way, yes, you've insured my house, but I just added a swimming pool, which also comes with its own liability issues as well,
Absolutely.
which would need to be covered. So I guess that'd just be one example. Is there anything else you could think of that maybe people do to their properties that they would need to make sure they contact you about?
You build a pond, put on a barn, anything. It could be anything. Additional living square footage onto your house. New roofs, new anything. Anything that could change that contract. You have to think of it as a contract for your largest investment.
Okay. Well, that does make sense. And I could see where things might, I don't know. I mean, I was just thinking about home improvements and things like that. Probably need to think about those things as well too. Like if you're doing some sort of home improvements, at least letting them know that you've done this. Like especially if my house was built in the 70s, and I definitely need new windows in my house because I got the old wood kind, and I want to get them changed to like a vinyl, energy efficient type. I don't know that it changed anything, but I probably should let my insurance carrier know that I've done that, just FYI, because
Absolutely.
if something was to happen to that house and they had to replace, they might want to know that I'd had all new windows put in throughout the house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. That makes perfect sense.
Any kind of receipts that you have, or you got a new air conditioner, any of those types of things, anything that you've done to improve your home.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
We've got a text coming in on the Victory Honda text line, 410-7560, by the way. It says, do you have to have extra insurance if you have a Rottweiler, a German Shepherd, or a big dog?
Depends on the insurance company.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I would think from that standpoint, that would be more of a liability type insurance. I'm not, that's the way I'd be reading it, right? Okay.
Right.
A lot of people will take out an additional policy in addition to their homeowners, an umbrella coverage, a liability umbrella. Would that cover something like that? Or again,
it
depends
would,
on the company.
It would, and it would depend on the company. Some companies will cover it, some won't. But the umbrella insurance is definitely a must.
Okay, if you don't mind, get a little bit closer there so everybody can hear you. That's okay. I know it's a foreign object, but it's okay. Generally speaking, and we use the term, and if you've owned a house, or if you're not new to this process, you know what a homeowner's policy is. But somebody coming into this, buying a house for the first time, give us a quick overview of what a homeowner's policy is. It doesn't just cover the main structure. There are other things involved, right?
Absolutely. You look at the coverage for liability. So if someone gets hurt at your home, you have medical. So if someone gets hurt on your home, medical is covered. Somebody at your house. If you're sued for whatever may happen on your property, that's where your liability comes into play. Personal property.
Yes.
Yes. That's one of those things that I look at and I think, I assume everybody knows what that is. Everything that you've purchased that goes into your house. So let's say you take your house, turn it upside down and shake it out. Okay?
That's a good analogy.
And
I like that.
everything that falls out would be covered under personal property.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's including what may be in your shed or in your backyard, those types of things.
Yeah, and that's another question. So you bring up a lot of good topics here, because if you're going to make additions to your personal properties, because I just know from experience, like, do you have a lot of firearms? Do you have a lot of expensive jewelry? Do you have a lot of computer equipment or gaming equipment or a lot of electronics? Or did you add a four-wheeler or a dune buggy or whatever the case may be that might be kept in the garage or something? I know there's separate insurance on that, but there's a lot of stuff that you can add into that you're adding throughout the whole time you're living there that you may never contact your insurance carrier about.
Right. Well, that's why we ask so many questions, and that's one of those things that's so important about having an insurance agent, is because we can go in there and ask those questions about the things that you've worked a lifetime for. You know, you talk about your jewelry and those types of things. There are endorsements.
Yes.
That you can add on to your homeowner's policy to make sure that you have that additional coverage.
That's right. Now, that brought us into something else that Jimmy was kind of leading into it. I was hoping he wasn't going to steal my thunder, and he didn't. Good job, Jimmy.
Thank you.
So that leads us into, when you talk about coming out and inspecting the property, and you're dealing with a new home buyer. All right. So then as a realtor, you're talking to them about I just talked about this a few minutes ago, and I completely just drew a blank right then. You're talking about a home protection plan.
Home warranty.
Home warranty, yes. Okay. So explain to the folks out there that this is where a lot of new home buyers get confused, because they have insurance. You've come out and you've looked at the property. Now we're talking to them about a home warranty, and they don't necessarily come out and look at the property, but they're confused about, well, I've already got insurance. What's the deal with the home warranty? Like, what's the difference?
Home warranty is something completely different. Your homeowner's insurance indemnifies you for the sudden and accidental loss that happens at your home. Home warranty, that's one of those things that somebody comes in and they're going to fix your refrigerator or fix your air conditioner, or it could be a multitude of things that you sign up for a home warranty. Those are the people that come in and do the repairs. That's the difference. That's a repair company. We're insuring your property for sudden and accidental loss.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, if you've got a good realtor and they've already tried to explain all this to you, and if they didn't, you can always contact your carrier, like Angie here, and they'll explain, like she just did right there, the differences between the two, so you can make that decision on whether or not. Now, remember, you have to have the homeowner's insurance. That's not even a question. You have to have it, and then the other one's an option, whether you do or you don't want it. So, real quick, we've got a little break here because I got something really important I want to talk about when we come back. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jimmy real quick, if you don't mind, and Jimmy, go ahead and take it away.
This show is a presentation of CWTAR, the Central West Tennessee Association of Realtors, and in order to make it happen, we rely on our sponsors. Angie, Hooten, Hughes, and Allstate are one of our great sponsors, and we appreciate them trusting us enough with their business to let you know what they do on a weekly basis, and glad to have both of you here this morning. Also sponsored by Leaders Mortgage Services. When you get ready to look for that house, Leaders may be the one place that you need to go first. Go there, talk to them, see what's available in the mortgage market today. They'll find one that will fit your needs just right, and they can pre-qualify you so that when you get a hold of Brent and his real estate folks, you already know what you can look at and what you can't look at. And that is a major plus for both sides of the equation. Leaders Mortgage, 215-6678. Pete Dubuisson will most likely, he or someone in his group will come by from National Property Inspections. They will do a property inspection for you. That is not an insurance policy, but someone with another set of eyes on that property to say, yes, all of these things meet code. No, they don't. These are the things that need to be repaired. These you don't have to worry about. Pete Dubuisson and National Property Inspections are the best in the business, in our opinion. They do that on a daily basis, and they can make sure that you are covered before you put your name on the line. And when it comes time to put your name on the dotted line, Bird and Bird Attorneys. They've been in the legal business in Jackson and Madison County since 1985. They cover all aspects of all real estate transactions, be it commercial or residential or anything in between. When you use Bird and Bird as your attorneys, you can be sure that the title's going to be right, the title insurance is going to be like it should be, and when you close that loan, the only thing you're going to walk out of there with is a smile and a new set of keys.
There you go. That's right. I always like to plug in on Charles because he's been on the show before, and I've known him a long time. But Charles is one of those that will literally sit down and go through the entire package before you show up, so that he knows what's on every single page. And I have been to a lot of closing attorneys over the years, and the first time they see that package is when they sit down in that chair and start the introduction. So that's really a huge bonus, because if there's anything that doesn't look right, he's tried to take care of it before you show up, not after everybody's sitting there. So that's just a little plug I'm throwing out there for Charles.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're back. We're with Angie Hooten Hughes with Allstate, and we were talking about how homeowners policy fits into the process and the differences between that and a home inspection, not home inspection, but a home warranty. And Jimmy talked about home inspections, threw me off there for just a second. And but the one thing I wanted to come back and talk about, because as you pointed out to me, and it always is as far as the National Association of Realtors, because we're constantly fighting for this all the time, is flood insurance. And flood insurance is not part of your standard homeowner's insurance policy. Is that correct?
It is not. Flood insurance is a FEMA product. It is a government product. Flood insurance is for any kind of waters that come from the ground up.
Ground up. Okay, that's good to think about.
Right.
All right.
So ground up coverage would have to be through FEMA, through the National Flood Program. Most insurance carriers like us, we manage the flood insurance policies for them, because if you've ever gone out to the FEMA site and tried to go through there and figure it out on your own, it's taxing.
Yes, I have been to that site, so you are correct.
That's a good explanation.
That's about the
That's
best
not their
way.
business, right? Websites is not their business.
No, it is not. So we manage it. We have Allstate Flood, and flood insurance has a 30-day waiting period. So, we've had a ton of rains here lately and extreme downpours. So you'll see places that you don't normally see flood. We had a
little something local here not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw somebody in a canoe getting something from a drive-through window or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Carriage House Drive just really flooded. I mean, you really needed a boat to get in and out of there. And that was the first I think I've ever seen, wasn't it?
That's the first time I've ever remember seeing it like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that would be considered flood.
And who would have thought? Right there in town.
Yeah, right.
That was just crazy.
At that spot, even. Another question on the text line coming in. I don't know whether we've covered this, may have mentioned it in passing. It says, what's mortgage protection versus homeowners?
She wrote that down on
I
paper.
did.
A note
I'm
to talk
so
about.
glad you asked.
She's awesome.
Psychic.
I know, it's awesome.
Mortgage insurance versus mortgage protection. You could probably talk more about what mortgage insurance is, but that's to insure your loan. And
yes.
I don't have as much knowledge on that as I do mortgage protection. Mortgage protection is life insurance, basically, that protects each person and their assets, so that in the event that one of the owners or the owner may pass, it'll pay off the home. So you no longer have to worry about how you're going to pay for where you're living. So mortgage protection for us is a form of life insurance, and we do recommend that for everyone who owns a home.
Back in my day, when I was doing lending and things like that, they used to call that credit life.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that term.
Yeah, just protect your your credit in case you.
Now that you mentioned it, I don't know that I've heard that term used in a very long time.
I'm old. I'm old. What can I tell you?
That's what I could add a story onto this, but I'm not going. I was sitting here thinking, when I used to sit in front of my grandparents' TV and watch Lawrence Welk, I think credit life insurance policy commercials used to come on the air. I'm just saying, because that was the question that was brought up the other day. Does anybody in this room know who Lawrence Welk is? And there was very few people that raised their hand.
That's funny. I grew up with Lawrence Welk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. My wife laughs at me now because every once in a while I'll find an episode on TV and I'll stop. And she'll be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "It's Lawrence Welk." And she's just like, "Oh, my God."
They used to call this music.
Right.
And the dancing, it was great.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we were talking about flood insurance, and we just talked about the mortgage protection. So mortgage, the flood insurance, which I talked about as far as NAR, because as you mentioned, that's a FEMA. Would you say controlled product? I guess.
Well, it's written through FEMA.
Okay.
So in the event that you had a flood loss, there would be a FEMA claims representative that would handle all of that. Most homeowners insurance companies, they manage it because the system is so hard to work with.
Sure, it makes sense.
So we simplify the process, and that way you don't have any issues as far as getting the product.
Gotcha. Well, and that's what I mentioned when I said NARs on this, because it's a government, I guess, is backed on this, I guess, is what keeps the cost down, is my understanding the way it works. But every year this comes back up for a vote to continue the flood insurance, national flood insurance. And so NAR is a huge proponent of that because we're always constantly looking after the homeowner's rights, right? So we're always trying to protect the homeowner's rights. And that is one thing that if that was to ever change would be hard for those folks that are having to pay flood insurance if it's going to be provided by an independent supplier versus coming through FEMA or the government help keep the cost down. So that's the only reason I'm pointing that part out there.
Right.
Now, another piece of this that we didn't talk about, and we got about, 4 or 5 minutes left here, is what would be the advantages of dealing with you local, and I already know the answer to this because I say that all the time, but versus an 800 insurance carrier, because we see them, we're bombarded with them, they're on the air all the time. Call this 800 number and get insurance, and it's so much cheaper. So what's the differences? What's the advantages here? Because I know there's got to be some.
Well, let's just keep it simple. If you had a heart problem and you were looking for a doctor for that heart problem, are you going to be looking for somebody that you can call an 800 number and get information on?
See, that was pretty good right there. We're done. Mic drop. Boom.
You can walk into our office. We can ask you questions. We can help you. We can make a plan for you. I mean, we're trusted advisors. That's what we do. We're advising you on what it is that you need now and long term. Where if you're calling an 800 number, they're satisfying an immediate need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's no guarantee that you're going to be right. That they're going to look out for you. You got to call an 800 number.
Probably get somebody different every single time you call,
right.
Which is absolutely pet peeve of mine. I just can't stand it because I will deal locally over anybody that I can do online every time.
Absolutely.
Just because I want to know that I'm talking to that same person every time I call, and if they know my name. Same thing for banks. It's the same thing for anything. And so I love it.
Right.
So it keeps it personalized.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Leslie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know who you're looking for when you walk in the door.
Yeah, when you walk through the door.
Absolutely.
That's right. Well, and as you mentioned before, you said your customers were like family.
They
right?
are.
And you can't do that if you're just a number.
No, you cannot.
Right.
That's care about my customers. I want the best for my customers.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, tell us how they get in touch with you guys. So your address, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're on Carriage House Drive, 250 Carriage House Drive. Our phone number is 731-668-1990. You can find us on Facebook at Allstate, Angie, Hooten, Hughes, Jackson, Tennessee. And you can find us online. You can kind of Google. my website address is 10 pages long.
Sounds like mine. Yep, sounds like mine.
So you can find us there. You can email us. You can email Leslie at lesliemays@allstate.com or me at Angie Hooten Hughes at allstate.com. Come by and see us.
Okay.
You know, we'd love to sit down and talk with you. We do have a promo going on. Am I allowed to talk about
Go
that?
ahead, please.
So you guys know that Willie Nelson and Allison Krause are coming to
I
town,
heard that.
right?
Yes.
So we have a promo going on right now. You know, come in, get a quote, be entered into win these tickets. I bought 2 center stage tickets.
Wow.
So we're going to be giving those away September 16th. So come by, see us, get a quote, get entered into this contest, and we'd love to sit down and talk with you.
Okay, awesome. Well, we appreciate both you guys being here this morning. Leslie, don't talk so much, okay? Because I like to never got a word in edgewise. I mean, oh my goodness. No, I'm just kidding. We appreciate both of you being here, and we'll have you back. You know, we'll try really hard to get you guys back on the air again because, you know, Leslie won't come on, and I can't get Angie because she's so busy all the time, and she's like, busy. "I'll be there." Oh, yeah, whatever. Okay, so
I really appreciate you having us on. Thank you so much.
Hope you enjoyed it. I got one little thing I need to talk about real quick. CWTAR is having a trivia night. It's our first ever that we're doing. It's going to benefit the Carl Perkins Child Abuse Center. It's going to be August the 9th at the association office at 935 Old Humboldt Road. It's $100 for a table of 6, so it's like your normal bar room type trivia. It's bring your own food, bring your own drink, and we've already got it ready to go, and yours truly is going to be the host of the event that night. I did not put it together. I just was asked to be the host, and but anyways, we're hoping people will come out and get involved with that. It's something we're going to hopefully continue to do throughout. So if you've got any interest and you'd like to put a team together and you'd like to know more information, give me a call at 731-668-7500. That's 731-668-7500. And I think that's not right because that does not sound like my telephone number. So hang on just a second. Nobody knows their own phone number. 668-4907. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Call me at 731-668-4907. Right. That's my telephone number.
That'll work.
Or you can just go to BrentWard@CWTAR.com. So BrentWard@CWTAR.com. And I think with that, thank you, ladies. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And Jimmy, I think we're done.
Absolutely. We'll do this again next week about 10:15, the CWTAR presentation of The Voice for Real Estate. It's 10:47, and the mix continues on a Monday.
Located in the